Hello, everyone. We'll be getting started very shortly. I'm just going to give people a few more moments to join in. We have gone live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, so we'll have people joining us from a few different angles this afternoon. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So thanks again for joining us. We are hosting a webinar today about how to be an ideal affiliate for debt buyers. My name is Sarah Fitzgerald, and I'm a Senior Account Manager at Aragon Advertising. Aragon Advertising is an award-winning performance marketing agency and the #1 globally ranked pay-per-call network. I joined the team last year, and I've been working in pay-per-call for 5 years. I have been at the team now focusing on debt for a few months, and we have had a lot of great conversations that have led to this webinar today. I have been working on the client side this entire time and spent a lot of time getting their feedback on what works well and what doesn't, and we have decided to share it with you today. So we bring you the keys to becoming a debt buyer's ideal affiliate. Please note if you have any comments or questions, those are open. We will get to a Q&A this afternoon at the end of the presentation. I think some of my teammates might be jumping in and answering questions if they can while we are going through the presentation, but feel free to put those questions in and we'll move back to them at the end. So this webinar is going to be focused on how affiliates and lead generators can scale a debt pay-per-call campaign with tips and tricks, best practices directly from the end buyers. We've gathered this feedback from many of our end buyers. We work with upwards of 20 in the debt field. So we've gotten a lot of great feedback, and we wanted to know what would make a great affiliate in their eyes. So without further ado, we'll dive in and let us know what your thoughts are. So it's been a very hot topic for debt in 2024, leading into it as well, and why we've decided to invest in it for pay-per-call. It's becoming a pretty large opportunity with good conversions and a lot of demand. We have seen that 22.6% of American credit card holders across the largest 100 metros have balances of at least $10,000. This was from a Lending Tree study in June of 2023. This is definitely an unfortunate side effect of economic imbalances, widespread inflation, and constantly rising interest rates. Credit card debt settlement offers Americans an opportunity to discuss their situation with a knowledgeable agent and find solutions to begin their journey to becoming debt-free. Pay-per-call partners help promote debt settlement services with higher intent leads because we're getting folks on the phone for them. A person calling is actively seeking information, and they are more likely to convert into a customer as they're ready to find a solution. Pay-per-call is also advantageous as debt settlement is a complex service, and for a service that requires explanation and involves a complex decision-making process, a phone call can be more effective in conveying information and addressing concerns. We did want to touch on some information that definitely comes up quite often when we're talking about debt, and that is the difference between debt settlement and debt consolidation. Debt settlement is where most of our buyers are at this time. They are negotiating with creditors to settle a debt for less than the amount owed. This works well for substantial debt sizes with single or multiple creditors. Debt consolidation is typically a lump sum loan in which the debt consolidation company pays off all of the debts, and then you begin paying back the debt consolidation company. Because of interest rates, debt consolidation has been a challenging debt solution, so the focus these days has been around debt settlement and debt relief. So the majority of our buyers that we'll be talking about or talk to are doing debt settlement services, not consolidation, and not offering loans. We bring that up because the creatives in use should be specific to the solution we are offering, and we don't want to promote loans when we can't service that. The debt settlement process, I won't spend too much time on this, but just to give you an idea of what the consumer is going to go through, it involves setting up an account and sending monthly payments to the settlement company and withholding payments to creditors to make lump sum settlement more enticing. So they will do that negotiation for you, and they will use the money you've been sending them to pay off what is owed. So when we go into what the debt relief advertiser is looking for, they are offering a service with monthly costs. So they do want folks who can afford that. Debt relief typically targets customers that may not be able to make current payments but do have a source of income. The intent here is that they're trying to lower their costs per month while helping them pay off those debts. So the primary targets in mind would be individuals in financial hardship, such as reduced income, loss of job, a divorce, unexpected expensive medical bill, and other financial emergencies. Single income households in areas with average incomes lower than the national median income are a very specific but ideal target because they will be working. They just may not be able to get past their month-to-month situation. And then we did get some feedback that a low credit score is also an ideal piece of targeting. While someone with a high credit score may be interested and eligible for debt settlement, they will also have more options available for handling their debt and may have other routes that they can explore. Whereas someone with low credit score or bad credit, debt settlement is their best option, whereas a consolidation loan won't be available to them. So now we're going to start diving into probably why you joined us this afternoon, and that's how to be a superstar affiliate for debt advertisers. We have a large network of affiliates that we work with, and we have communicated quite a bit of feedback from our advertisers based on what they've asked for. But this is kind of summing up the key points, the most important points, and what we're looking for affiliates to help us stand out and help you stand out as well. So we definitely are looking for quality and volume potential, but quality is always going to come first. We are affiliates that can see beyond initial RPC or earnings per call, help value the relationship we have with our advertisers. So we look to folks who can be flexible and grow with the campaign, because many debt advertisers are going to want a few weeks worth of data before they make any changes, and we hope our affiliates can do the same. Slow growth is usually necessary because of the high cost per call. And we're going to be using a lot of call dispositions and QA to optimize. Folks who can review their calls regularly really impress advertisers. So it's a good idea to find a way to stay on top of your traffic so that you're bringing information to your advertiser and not waiting for them to come to you. Sharing creatives and call flows help the advertiser because they'll give their agents that information, and so they'll know what's already been covered or what creative they came off of and how to navigate the conversation from there. They want to work with the messaging that's out there and not against it. And you'll see that working with impact debt relief, their initial testing phase can typically show lower than optimal earnings per call, but once they kind of level set with their affiliates, it begins to go up. And that's when the caps go up, concurrency goes up, everything else that helps earnings per call go up comes over time. So they're just looking for someone who can stay ahead of performance issues by monitoring on their own, and a partner that can eliminate quality concerns before they even get on the radar of the end buyer. It's going to see long-term success and profits. Excellent. So the most common ways that we evaluate performance that we hope affiliates do and we know our advertisers do is the cost per enrollment, the debt amount, and the average debt amount. So usually they set a threshold of 10K or 15K in unsecured debt, primarily for credit cards. But the cost per enrollment really comes to how much debt's actually enrolled. So in general, when we're targeting 15K debt loads, buyers will be comfortable with a $400 to $600 cost per enrollment. But when we talked to one of our partners who said it really depends on that debt amount, it comes down to they're usually trying to not spend more than 3% of the enrolled debt amount when buying on pay-per-call. So that's something you can back into. If you know your average debts are 20K, 25K, 30K, you're gonna be able to push the barrier either on your pricing or your cost per enrollment because it's going to back out in the long run. So knowing your average debt loads really helps and will help build a case for yourself with any advertiser you work with. The other piece of delivering an ideal customer beside debt load amount, which can be hard to do on an inbound call, which we understand, is finding a way to qualify them before they make the call. Two suggestions are IVRs that pre-qualify debt amounts and route based on the caller's self-selection, or a quiz or questionnaire built into your creative that creates a flow. So you ask them how much debt they have and ultimately display a phone number that will go to an advertiser that can service that debt amount. Advertisers will pay top dollar if they know calls are being qualified this way. And anything you can do to pre-qualify the debt amount will improve performance with advertisers and allow you to monetize more traffic. So I got a question here and I do want to touch on it because it's very timely. So it was, why is it hard to enroll high debt amounts? And that comes down to the actual cost per month will be pretty high for that consumer. So it may be difficult for them to commit to the solution. However, if someone's sitting with $30,000, $40,000 of unsecured debt, they will need to look into something like debt settlement, and they'll have to find a way that they can make those payments. But they're still looking at a couple $100s, if not more, per month when they're trying to build that settlement with the company. So it takes more time to make that commitment, which is also why we see enrollments happen after the first call. It'd be great if everyone enrolled in that first call, but it's going to take time, conversations with family members, and just looking at your finances before committing. So I just wanted to touch on that and make sure it was clear that we see enrollments come in after the fact of calls very often because it gives people time to look at the solution, look at their options, and understand how they can make it work so they can ultimately be debt-free. As we touch on IVRs, I think it's very important because they tend to not be well liked in the affiliate space, and we totally understand. So you want to work with folks who are running IVRs where you can monetize every key press. There are buyers out there for pretty much any of that level, and you just want to make sure you're working with a network that can send those calls in every direction. So to give you an idea, Aragon has buyers for debt amounts of over 3K that we can easily monetize for you. And so you want to just give that level of qualification, but work in a way that you'll still make money for those calls and you're not just dropping them just because the debt amount may not be enough for one buyer. So the other piece of the conversation with advertisers comes around creatives. We definitely get a lot of feedback on the types of creatives that work and don't work, and it comes a lot with the maybe aggressiveness of the language, or just a lot of folks have repurposed debt consolidation loan creatives to try to run for debt settlement, and one that does and does not work in some cases. So it's really important to not say that debt will just go away. That usually implies that it's being written off and they don't have to worry about paying it at all. We want to focus on credit cards in that conversation, images, the words on this page. If you're using video, make sure they're referencing credit card debt, because there's a lot of debt out there, but in the world of unsecured, credit card is the largest instigator. So that's what we're trying to target, is folks who sit with credit card debt from major cards and major store brand cards. A lot of focus on emotion can help drive calls. Things like stress, worry, improve your life, build confidence, and get help. Those are all great things to play on in any sort of video or imagery to give this as a solution to folks struggling with debt. You want to provide a path towards freedom, And the only thing we've gotten is that promises of loans and uses of images of checks and cash can be very misleading and result in a poor consumer experience once they reach the agent. This is where advertisers tend to have issues with those creatives because their agents go in up against someone who has already been let down, realizing that they're not getting the solution they thought they were. That's why there's so much focus on what's happening with the creatives and what's being said or not said. One of our advertisers loves focusing on the family angle, ways to help your family get freedom, get away from this, the chains of debt. So there's definitely angles to be played aside from like over promising and under delivering. Aside from the actual content, the other items you might want to think about is how you're targeting and placing these ads. So oftentimes we will just run state targeting. It is certainly easy and one of the easiest ways to navigate setting up ads on Google, on other search consoles, and in social media. But if you're feeling like you're not getting the best performance there, a good solution would be to look into demographic targeting in the states that the buyer accepts. Find the city or counties where the income makes sense for debt settlement. It's not going to be very helpful if you're targeting areas where they'll never be able to afford the solution or never need the solution. So there are definitely tons of studies out there, and using census can help you find areas to target more specifically. And then in placements, obviously there's a lot going on with Facebook Ad Library and other social media, but there's more to that. So explore other placements, radio and TV slots, listicles, content sites, and UGC for short form content for video ads, which could run on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, etc. And this one, it might be hard, but it's important to evaluate your performance beyond your RPC or revenue per call. It's good as an affiliate to be aware of how your calls are actually performing. It will also help you stay ahead of issues or identify what could be hurting your RPC. So when you think about call durations, on average, it takes 20 to 30 minutes to complete a soft credit pull, which will determine the eligibility of the debt settlement. If calls are ending in 3, 4, 5 minutes, they're probably not qualified or actually looking for this service. So if you see a lot of calls going billable for not a high duration, that could be an idea of poor quality, but it doesn't look like it because the money was backing out. So take note of your average call duration and how many of your calls are actually going over 20 minutes. Another one to look at is delivered to billable conversions. Of course, you're looking at that as an affiliate to see how much you're earning per call. But the other side of it is if you have a ton of calls going into a call center, an agency, and they're not converting, you're using agent time. Time is expensive to the advertiser. They want to see good conversion rates because they don't want their agents handling calls they cannot service. So this is where, again, qualifying calls, making sure they're actually looking for debt settlement is important, and your conversion rate will indicate if there's an issue. Of course, it also will help you indicate if there's an issue with the advertiser's setup. So you can stay ahead of sending calls if there is any sort of tech issue or outage. And of course, the number one item they're going to ask and send feedback on is the debt loads of actual enrollments. Most advertisers need that above 15K. But if you're doing better than that, they're going to want to scale up with you. If your averages are coming down below 10K, they're going to start questioning the targeting because even if they enroll, they're not earning money on that enrollment because of how much they paid to get it. So we have partners that will enroll for less than their target amount, and we have partners who will end the call if they don't have more than 15K. So again, talk to your managers here at Aragon if you're working with us, because we can route these calls to the best fit based on how much debt the person may have versus watching someone who has 10K of debt get dumped because they went to someone buying at 15K, unwilling to enroll at less than that amount. And you'll notice the most common disqualifications on calls and why they end early or end before the billable duration is they don't have enough debt, they don't have the right kind of debt, or they're unwilling to make payments. A lot of times they might have been looking for a government program or a loan, and when they realize it's a monthly cost that's beyond that, they're no longer interested. And that can be something you take back to your creatives, watch what keyword they came off of, which ad they watched before they called in, and see if you can tweak the messaging there. So our network and how we're scaling with it, we have over 20 plus direct-in buyers for debt. The quality and close on the first call is pretty high. Our agents work as close as they can to make that sale, and if not, they have excellent follow-up. So as I noted, our cost per enrollments typically drop week over week because our agents that we're working with are calling back and making those sales. So everyone winds up happy and it starts to look better. We have offered high daily caps and concurrencies when we work with all of these debt buyers. So the more you're able to work with us and our requirements around creatives to get approval with multiple buyers, the more daily cap we can offer to you. And it's a great opportunity to test different flows, to test different advertisers, and just see who works best for your traffic. And just to give you guys an idea of what we're offering right now, and this is only going up. We've huge surge in debt. Payouts are going up. We understand the cost per call is going up. So if this pricing is a little low, reach out to us because we might have some options. But we are running English and Spanish credit card debts for inbounds for 10K plus and 15K plus. We have posted lead and form fill opportunities if you can drive traffic. And we also have a competitive rev share program for under 10K debt. So there's a few options for you to monetize with us and make the most out of all your traffic. All right, I think that wraps up my formal content. So are there any other questions we can touch on? Feel free to put them in the chat and I will answer a few while we still have time. All right, I've got a question that just came in and it asks, what performance factors do advertisers talk about the most? So number one is going to be average enrolled debt amounts. I get those reports almost on a weekly basis from most of our buyers. Then the cost per enrollment factor. Our partners will give us longer leashes when we drive high debt amounts with enrollments. And unfortunately, when they see enrollments under 10K, we typically get cuts from those buyers. So that's why we look at it at least on a monthly, weekly basis, and we provide that information back to our affiliates so they can start scaling where the high enrollments are coming from. And then it looks like Chandler asked, let's put that question up there. How can I monetize calls if they have less than 15K in debt? So there are buyers who will often buy at a lower cost or on a CPA model. We have a CPA model partner who gives us a portion of their monthly payments when they enroll under 15K debts. So if you talk to us about how you can leverage that, one of the best options would be to run through us with an IVR so we can route traffic to the buyer based on the self-selected debt amount. While it's not foolproof because the person may not know how much debt they have, it does get them to the best fit that we have based on the information we have. So if you are looking to monetize all of your debt traffic or just that under 15K, under 10K you don't currently have a home for, reach out to us and we can explain that rev share model to you a bit more. All right, are there any more questions? I think we covered a lot of information here. If you didn't hear at the start, this was being streamed on LinkedIn and YouTube as well as Facebook. We have a YouTube channel you can check out, and this stream will be there permanently so you can re-review. If you've got any questions about the content we talked about today or want to learn more about our offers, just send us an email. My email is sfitzgerald@aragonco.com. All right. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. We will talk to you in the next one. Bye.